What's going on? God-fearing, gun-toting patriots. I love the Second Amendment. God gave it to me. Not one politician, not one government legislation can take it from me.
I'm a gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Pricing why they mad, cause I'm real and they be faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking American. This MAGA season, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. It's for free thinkers only, you ain't got no membership. They free General Flynn out the cage, cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone, cause the run know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement. Tell Jussie Smollett that I know this MAGA country. Tell China we know they trying to play us like some dummies. I looked deep into it and I did the math. Why did Obama send money to that Wuhan lab? What is George Soros doing with all of his cash? Why did China take that Harvard guy and drop him a bag? Why is there so much propaganda? Funny you ask. How about that Bill Gates vaccine? Nah, sorry I'll pass, cause I'm a gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Pricing why they mad, cause I'm really Navy faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Pricing why they mad, cause I'm really Navy faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Okay?
All red MAGA flags waving through the South like we just want 4 more years. Democrats can't get right, jumping with that Yeezy flow. Don't go broke on Sleepy Joe. Make America great again, seeing that what you hating for. Military working overtime, I salute y'all. Antifa steady trying to play them games, yeah we see y'all. Can't knock us down, Republicans standing too tall. About to run it back to back, yeah that's how we ball. Trump, yeah, okay, bury him a legend, yeah Trump, hey. Okay, America's biggest blessing. Free speech advocate, packing, never lacking it. I just bought another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gang. Okay, the White House going crazy now. MAGA season, tell them liberals they can't break us down. It's up, they know we run it, best believe it now. About to paint the city red, please don't burn it down.
Gang, 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 MAGA gang, gang, MAGA gang, gang, MAGA gang, gang, yo, 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 yo.
I'm a gun-toting patriot,
Yeah.
God-fearing patriot.
Let's go.
Pricing why they mad,
Let's go.
cause I'm really Navy faking
Let's go.
it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it.
And I want to make this clear as well. If you want to come and get my rifle, good luck.
That part right there. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Man, we got something to talk about, man. We got something to talk about. And I don't like I got because what I got to talk about is going to confuse some people. It's going to make some people look crazy. It's going to make people look to the border and say, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with this point. It's going to make some folks wonder what the ham sandwich is really going on. The scary and weird part about all of this is that we as a people, we have been lied to for the longest time. And I'm going to give you salutations. I want to say shout out to everybody that's here. Thank y'all for joining me. We're going to cover some things that need to be covered. Okay, cool. We're going to cover some things that need to be covered. But I'm going to say this. I am not intentionally trying to hurt nobody with my live today. I am not intentionally trying to make anybody look crazy. But because I have a voice, and because this is freedom of speech, and because it came out the way it came out on Friday, and y'all gonna see that today, I no longer fear, and I never have, but I no longer fear having to worry about my channel being snatched. Because after Friday, you can't tell me, big tech, what to talk about and what not to talk about. You can't even censor me anymore. And all of my old videos that y'all censored, you have to put them back up. Now, I ain't gonna get a lot of people in here right now, because right now I'm doing a teaching moment. But I want to say shout out to everybody that's here. Skylife, what's up? Tyree, what's up? DJ D Money, what's up? Check. I know y'all can hear me. DV Wild, what's up? Mama Murray, what's up? Dream Team, what's up? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Hello? Yes. Yes, this is Dana. I just got to win.
Well, we are, and Abe Hominides is 9,100 votes, and we got a big win in Yavapai.
Yeah.
Last week, so we're actually signatures matter. Isn't that exciting?
That's right. Signatures do matter.
It's scary, like sending it to court. And just by reference, I'm the proud daughter of a U.S. Marine and appreciate Harrison's
When I tell you God is opening doors, man, God is opening doors that, oh my God. All right, let's get back on track. Oh my God. God is definitely opening doors. That's all you got. Listen, man. Listen. Sidebar this live real quick. If you keep God in everything you do, where you are meant to be is where you will be. If you stay focused, God will put you in places that you never thought you would be in. Man, when I say God is good, and when you fight for the right cause, don't listen to hearsay. Do your research. That's why y'all know my number one rule over here, Dream Team. Don't listen to what I say. Take what I say and then go do research. And then if I'm wrong, come back and tell me where I'm wrong at, and we go research together. That's what makes you a family. But I'm going to say this. Y'all see the title, don't y'all? Today is 9/11. And we have been living a lie for years. We have been living a lie for years. In Texas right now, they trying to impeach Ken Paxton. And for y'all that don't know, I'm going to give y'all a little history about Texas. The Bushes run the oil fields down there. And Ken Paxton ain't going with the go along. So they trying to get him out of here. And Ken Paxton made it so it went to court. And Ken Paxton lawyers is making the other folks look like what? Liars under oath. And they got to tell the truth. Man. So before we get started, I'm going to say this. It's going to be some people that's going to drop off. Don't worry about the numbers because people don't want to know the truth. On top of that, some people want to know the truth, but they scared of the truth. Then you have your group that just want to deal with it when it comes. At that point, it's too late. And right now, you're in a fight for your life. And people think, oh, Dana, you just be talking. No, I'm going to let you in my world today. That's why I said, I don't want you to feel crazy. When I showed 2,000 mules, people was calling me after and was like, I don't know what to say. I never thought it went down like that. The young lady that just called, they just won in Arizona because it was shown that the election was tampered with on more than 4 different levels. But when I first came out and told y'all that, I was called a conspiracy theorist. YouTube snatched my channel because I showed Mike Lindell's proof. Then when I showed 2,000 mules way before, it became popular. When they first finished it, YouTube snatched that channel. When I showed what is that movie? Freedom. Sounds of Freedom. When I showed Sounds of Freedom for the first time 3.5 years ago, before they even got a deal with the studio that made it look like it do now, I was put on an FBI watch list. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about being on somebody's watch list because I'm telling the truth. What can you do to me? I know who I am. I am secure in who I am. I'm going to put it to you like this. Anytime I can battle with both of my pastors about what's going on and don't feel convicted about it, I know I'm on the right playing field. Now I'm going to say this. If y'all can try to hold your Texas, because this is a long live that I'm trying to shorten and do. Check. Can you hear me? I just want to know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? If y'all can hear me, say yes, we can. Because I got some stuff to get out. I got some truth to get out. I got some truth to get out. And before I do that, hold on. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to say this. Stop listening to lamestream media thinking that's your only source of news. Stop listening to lamestream media thinking that's your only source of news. If you don't, you will be caught in a trick bag. If you don't, you will be caught in a trick bag. I'm trying to help some people. If you don't, that's going to be for my next live. If you don't, you will be caught in a trick bag. So I'm going to say this, and we're going to get to going. First things first, we're going to tackle is this right here. Let's give y'all a little bit of what's going on. Laverne Spicer's reporting now they want to put ankle monitors on the illegals to make sure they stay in Texas and not get shipped to New York City. I'm with Laverne on her analogy because maybe it's just me too, Laverne. But that sounds like slavery all over again. I keep telling everybody, Democrats ain't never gotten over losing their slaves. Hold on. What you just say? Democrats ain't never gotten over losing their slaves. But I thought the Democrat Party was the good party. Democrats ain't never gotten over losing their slaves. Shameless plug, Joe Biden just brought in 15 million new ones. 1,500,000 new ones, I'm sorry. And he didn't even have to use ships and whips to do it. I just want to leave that there for somebody. I just want to leave it there for somebody. Next thing's next. I'm going to speed through this, so hurry up and catch up with it. I was trolling Blinken last night. And Blinken was talking about Elon Musk's influence over the war in Ukraine. For the people who don't know what's going on, Elon Musk did not send Starlink over Ukraine because they was using Starlink to charge their drones to attack Russia. Elon Musk said he can't do it no more. He can't send them Starlink no more because that put him in the middle of the war. So this is what happened last night. Pay close attention.
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has recently confirmed a report that last year Musk blocked access to his Starlink satellite network in Crimea. Should there be repercussions for that?
Not at all, Jake. Elon Musk saved the world from a bigger war by refusing to accept Zelensky's demands.
Really? None of this concerns you?
Not at all, and I think you should be happy about it too, but you're not, because you work for CNN, and CNN is a warmonger who profits more as the war escalates. So, you, Jake.
Whoa!
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has recently confirmed a report that last year Musk blocked access to his Starlink satellite network in Crimea. Should there be repercussions for that?
Not at all, Jake. Elon Musk saved the world from a bigger war by refusing to accept Zelensky's demands.
Really? None of this concerns you?
Not at all, and I think you should be happy about it too, but you're not, because you work for CNN, and CNN is a warmonger who profits more as the war escalates. So, you, Jake.
Hold on. Let me recollect that. I'm doing an interview. Somebody calls me out from Ukraine. A political figure calls me out on my live when I'm doing an interview and then disrespects me. If that was me, I would have to check the network. What are y'all doing that's angering these folks? See, people don't want to talk about real stuff. I keep telling you, don't worry about the numbers. Because a lot of people don't know this. A lot of stuff that's going to come out today, a lot of people don't know. Let's keep going. I was on Sky Life channel last night. And I talked about what happened in California and the bill that was passed. And the young lady said, I really don't think that's what happened, Dana. So I said it did. She said, I really don't think that's what happened. So I hit Rizla up this morning. I said, I need that video from off your Twitter. He said, go ahead, take it. So the title is, California just passed a bill that punishes parents if they refuse to affirm their child's gender choice. Lost their damn minds. TGI Inclusive Care Act, titled SB 923. No, the duty of the parent is to educate and safeguard. If you notice, he didn't say nurture, because if you're a parent, you can't nurture. If you're a parent, that means you pay rent for the children that they allowed you to take home from the hospital. Why? Because you never identified their true birth. Even though you gave birth, but when you left your placenta, and that's a mode of abortion. So you aborted your offspring to the government, which now the government turned them into children and made you a parent. If you decide to enter into the child support system, you no longer become a parent or a mom. You become an obligor or obligee. This is what I was breaking down to them last night. So no, the duty of the parent is to educate and safeguard their children from the evils of this world by telling them the truth. This is Satan's system in full swing. The state is now going to kidnap children in the name of what? Help. Take your children out of these schools and get away from this agenda the best way you can. For I see a war coming behind this. And don't get it twisted. They're using certain black faces to push this satanic agenda. But we as a people of the vast majority do not support this. This is not a black agenda. This is not a colored agenda. This is not an indigenous agenda. This is a devil's satanic agenda. First program the children, then get them to turn on their parents. Then the state will help them by taking them away from their parents. Then they will give them puberty blockers, genital mutilation, and move more and more children towards sterility and infertility, which ultimately goes towards the main agenda, which is what? Depopulation. Fight back against Satan's system. And this is not just for the colored folks. This is for our sisters and our brothers that are lighter than us, the Caucasian folks as well. This don't have an identity. If you think I'm lying, listen to what this lady say.
Parents affirm their children. They have since the dawn of time. Typically, it happens when their gender identity expression matches their biological gender. But what happens is when it doesn't, that's when the affirmation starts to wane. And that's what we're dealing with here. Although it's called the TGI Bill, they're not mentioned anywhere in the law. What's mentioned in the law is the child's gender identity and expression and the parent's affirmation of that, whatever it is, because that is our duty as parents, to affirm our children. Parents affirm their children. They have since the dawn of time. Typically, it happens when their gender identity expression matches their biological gender. But what happens is when it doesn't, that's when the affirmation starts to wane. And that's what we're dealing with here. Although it's called the TGI Bill, they're not mentioned anywhere in the law. What's mentioned in the law is the child's gender identity and expression and the parent's affirmation of that, whatever it is, because that is our duty as parents, to affirm our children.
Now I'm going to ask y'all this question. Hey, Deanna, let me ask the mothers in the chat a question. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all agree with that? Let me ask the mothers, because she targeted the mothers. Let me ask, do y'all agree with that? Just put yes in there if you do, put no if you don't. Stephanie, thank you, Stephanie Holloway. She said, hell no. You see the wordplay? You see the wordplay? That's why you got to read. I don't be telling you stuff just to make it look good for you. Because a lot of this stuff that I talk about, I got to pray about before I even encounter it. It's very demonic. But we in the last and evil days. This is what Revelation talked about. Here's my question. Can you handle it? Can you handle it? And for the record, I never seen a mother or a father push out a kid. I damn sure ain't never seen none of them push out a child. Now you go look at what I'm talking about. Legalese. It sounds like the word you grew up on, but it's totally not. That's why I can enter you into a verbal contract at any time. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. If y'all believe that Joe Biden is the worst president on the United States soil that ever touched, and y'all understand what I'm saying, Put yes in the chat. Watch this. Now, people might not do it because they know I'm up to something. I was the one at the school checking on everything and everybody. Look, Thick Baby said yes. That's one. Watch this. Watch this. Then I'm gonna get to Stephanie Holloway's point. If you believe, and let's go for the whole chat, men and women. If you believe that Joe Biden is the worst president that ever stepped on the soil, and y'all understand what I'm saying, put yes in the chat. Miss Barbara Lowry said yeah. So I got 2 people saying yes. So the rest of y'all don't believe that Joe Biden is the worst president. Is that what it is? Oh, so he is the worst president. Watch this. I got Thick Baby, Miss Barbara Lowry, EJ, Willie, Deanna, Stephanie. Stephanie say Obama, but I'm going to get there. Right now, I got 6 people that just entered into a contract with me, verbally. I asked the question, if you understand what I'm saying, put yes in the chat. That's the way the government gets you. Because they'll ask you, is your name such and such? And you not knowing, you'll be like, yeah, because you're so conditioned on saying that name for years. Then they say, do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, thank you, because now you stand under my authority. That's why you'll hear me say I overstand a lot. And when people say, oh, do you understand? No, I don't understand, but I overstand everything you're saying. It's a fact of words. And words will get you hemmed up all your life if you're not careful. I've been trying to help y'all with this. Let's continue. Let's go here. This is what I'm talking about. The Fifth Circuit Court has ruled that the Biden administration, the FBI, and the CDC all violated the First Amendment by colluding with big tech to censor Americans. Look how American is spelled. Look how Americans are spelled. Now you know they're not talking about the corporation. They talking about who? You and I. That's it, Prima. What up, Prima? That's it. Words are definitely spells. Then it says, where our so-called Republican leaders, they're awfully quiet. It gets worse. The court found that the Biden administration coerced, here's that word, coerced these platforms and threatened them if they didn't comply. Why am I so excited about that word? Because what came after this was the court found that the Biden administration coerced these platforms and threatened them if they didn't comply. Can somebody tell me where Robert Sylvester Kelly coerced anybody to do anything or threatened them if they didn't comply? Can somebody show me where Donald Trump coerced anybody or threatened them if they didn't comply? I'll sit back and wait. So when people don't want to come to the platform because I'm not going at somebody, it shows me your ignorance, because I'm dropping jewels that you're going to need. So my thing is this: how is the federal government able to use the word coerce with Donald Trump, Harrison Floyd, or R. Kelly when none of them threatened anybody? None of them tried to persuade anybody. So the rule of thumb of coerce, from what I'm seeing, is that you have to threaten first if they don't comply, and then you have to give them a sweet deal. Come on. According to that ruling, the White House coerced the platforms by way of intimidating messages and threats of adverse consequences. Hold on. We just looked at the matter of fact, and we heard the video call We heard the perfect phone call from Donald Trump. He didn't coerce nobody. We read the transcripts on R. Kelly. We seen the parents' transcripts. He didn't coerce anybody. They coerced him. The Democratic Party coerced the world. So in other words, the Biden administration forced social media companies to remove our posts that were critical of the Biden administration or made the Biden White House look bad. I mean, I'm just saying. Y'all want to be back on my bull crap, right? So I'm going back on it. Now I'm going to ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. What is the most popular holiday in the United States, or should I say on the western part of the world? If y'all can put it in the chat, I'm going to post it. What is the most critical and the most celebrated holiday on the western part of the world? Stephanie Holloway say Christmas. If y'all agree with that, say yes. If y'all agree with that. Now watch this. Since we know that the government controls church, they tell church what to say, what you can preach about, what you can't preach about. If you deviate and somebody tell on you, that 501c3 gone. So, no, guys, not Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. What's the significance of Christmas? They say that's the day that Jesus was born, right? So, Christmas, which is in the month of December the 25th, they say that's the day that Jesus was born. Right, Stephanie, Skylife is hungry. They say that's the day that Jesus was born, right? DV Wild just copycatting. Come on, bro. We don't got time to play. They say that's the day that Jesus was born. What if I tell you that we all been lied to? I said it once before. I said, there's no way that Yahweh, or Jesus as we call him in the New Age, can be born in that type of cold. Impossible. Impossible. Hey, Ms. Clark. Impossible. He wouldn't survive. So now, truth's starting to come out. They went and looked at the scribes. They went and looked at the scribes and the writing and the scrolls. I'm now pissed off. I'm going to ask you this. What happened on this day on 2011? They told y'all the Twin Towers was hit by commercial airline planes. We all believed it because we seen the plane going crash into the buildings. We seen the buildings catch on fire. We seen people jumping off the buildings. We seen the buildings implode. Hold on, Dana. Stop. Pause. A plane hit a building that high and it implode and don't topple. Something wrong with that mechanic. But before I get into the 9/11, I got to get into the 9/11. It's right here in your face. And they put it in your face and hide it. Watch this. The Greek word for wonder. Hold on. The Greek word for wonder in verse 1 means sign. And God's word declares that there will be a sign in the heavens when Mary went into labor and gave birth to Yahweh, aka Jesus Christ. The word of God is written across the heavens and in the stars. The signs of the zodiac were originally not used in astrology. I told y'all that. But each one signified a characteristic of the life and ministry and kingship of Jesus Christ, the promised Savior and Son of God. The sign of the woman that the Bible is referring to here is to the constellation Virgo. Revelation 12 further states that this woman was clothed with the sun, another celestial body, the sun. And look how sun is spelled, S-U-N, not S-O-N. The sun, as it appears to travel through the ecliptic through the ecliptic each year, enters into the mid-body between the neck and the knees of the constellation Virgo, clothing her with the sun for approximately a 21-day period during any given year. In the year 3 BC, which we later show by other celestial events in the heavens to be the year of the birth of Jesus Christ. The sun was in the position from August the 27th through September the 15th. Revelation also declares that the moon was under her feet, which these two specific details we can pinpoint the birth of Christ very precisely. In 3 BC, the sun and the moon in Virgo occurred on only one day, and that was September the 11th. So Jesus had to be born on September the 11th and not the 25th of December. But the configuration of the sun and the moon was visible in Palestine between sunset and moonset, this twilight period being called night in the Bible. On September the 11th, 3 BC, sunset was at 6:18 p.m. That's when they said that they found him and he came into the world. On moonset at 7:39 p.m., Jesus Christ was born on September 11th, 3 BC, sometime in that 81-minute span of time between 6:18 p.m. and 7:39 p.m. Amazingly, this corresponds to Tishri, one on the Jewish calendar, which is the first day of the Festival of Trumpets. We will discuss the wonderful significance of this in a minute, but I also wanted to share that was another significant astronomical display on September 11th, 3 BC. From sunset of September 11th, 3 BC to September 11th, 3 BC, Jupiter and Regulus could be seen approaching conjunction before dawn. Although the precise astronomical conjunction occurred on September the 14th, the angle of observation and Jupiter's slow apparent motion would have made their close rendezvous obvious as early as the pre-dawn hours of Thursday, September the 12th. Within hours of the Messiah's birth, at that time, the king planet Jupiter could be seen approaching the king star Regulus in the constellation of what? Leo, the sign of Judah, from whose seed the Messiah, the promise, came from. Here we go. Here we go. I told you one thing I do is my research. I do my research. And I'm going to put this back here because I'm going to use this again. I do my research. Now, where they got December the 25th from, I don't know. But that's what I was telling them. The legalese. The right word of son is S-U-N, not S-O-N. But the way the government did it, the way they came, the Rothschilds came and matriculated everything, they want you to believe that son, S-O-N, is your offspring. When technically, S-O-N is the thing in the sky. And the S-U-N is your offspring. See how they flipped it? They put it down, flipped it, and then reversed it. And as Missy would say, if y'all have to get that, you know what I mean? So now you see why us Leo, there we go, Stephanie. Now you see why us Leos are very hot-tempered. You see why we got to take control of things, because it's in our nature from the creative day. If you notice, there's only one sign that a Leo can't deal long-term with, but can still deal with. And can't no other sign on a horoscope deal with that sign. And that's a Gemini. Think about it. Just think about it. In order to handle somebody who don't know who they are, that are multiple people at one time, you got to have a leader and that can deal with multiple personalities. Let's flip it to modern day. That happened in the Bible when Jesus went to the cave. When Jesus went to the cave and he called the man and he called the legion out. He said, your name is Legion. And Legion said, yes, I am him of many. Get out and never come back. They jumped into the pig. The pig went crazy, jumped over the cliff. And what did Jesus say after that? Do not go within 30 feet north, 45 feet south, 60 feet west, and 80 feet east of the smell of swine. Ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, okay, you want the footnotes? Hold on. You want the footnotes? I do you one better. Y'all know I don't play them games. I do one better. The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. So copy that link and go study it, and we can compare notes. We can have fun. This is why I say I can't be a pastor. I can't. I'm too real for TV. Me being a pastor, I would probably have 3 members. Me, my daughter, my son, and probably one of my friends, and probably my pastor now will probably stop in and say, hey, how you doing, son? I'm just checking on you. All is well. But trust me, being real and telling the truth will get you shunned upon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a video before we tap into this 9/11 bullcrap. Okay? Here's the video. It's called Loose Change, Final Cut, 2007. So this happened before. No, this happened 6 years after 9/11. Because 9/11 happened in 2001, not 2/11. It happened on 9/11/2001. This is Jack OTV. Jack OTV, put this up there.
On September 11th, 2006, thousands from all over the world gathered in New York City, New York. They wore black shirts, reading Investigate 9/11, and held banners that read, "Ask questions, demand answers." This day marked the 5th anniversary of the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. Although the 9/11 Commission report had been published over 2 years prior, many Americans and citizens worldwide remained convinced that the truth was being withheld from the public. Why? Why was a growing percentage of the world population becoming increasingly skeptical of the events of September 11th? Was it a natural inclination towards believing the worst about the United States government? Or was it a legitimate concern that only grew more powerful with time? The 9/11 Truth Movement includes academics, engineers, physicists, firefighters, intelligence officials, and some of the very people whose lives have been shattered since September 11th. Were they all delirious?
You should not be here. No, you've got it all wrong. We're honoring the fallen heroes from 9/11.
As are we.
No, you're not. No, you are not.
I feel so uncomfortable.
I'm sorry.
That next year, I'm not coming here.
Or were they a concerned group of individuals taking the necessary steps to prevent the United States from slipping into its darkest era yet? Was September 11th a surprise attack on America by 19 Islamic terrorists? Or something else entirely?
George Bush has spent an uncomfortable day with his people trying to explain away why he failed to pass on warnings the White House had received before September the 11th that terrorists were planning to hijack American aircraft. What happened that day has cast a shadow over just about every area of American life. Now one of the country's best-known journalists has said that the American response to the so-called war on terrorism has created a climate of effective censorship in a land claiming to be the home of free speech.
There's never been an American war, small or large, in which access has been so limited as this one. The belief runs so strong in both the political and military leadership that those who control the images will control public opinion.
Does it suggest that there was somebody on the inside? He kind of compared it to the Godfather story, you know, where the gun was placed in the men's room.
There is also a possibility this could be some kind of inside job.
May it have been an inside job? Might these people have gotten help from the inside?
I was speculating about that along with others early this morning, but now there's a lot more evidence that suggests it's almost certainly the case.
It's an obscene comparison, I'm not sure like it, but there was a time in South Africa that people would put flaming tires around people's necks if they dissented. The fear is that you'll be necklaced here. You have a flaming tire of lack of patriotism put around your neck. Now, it's that fear that keeps journalists from asking the toughest of the tough questions and to continue to bore in on the tough questions so often.
People let us stay out of our business.
A country that hides something is a country that is afraid of getting caught.
And in particular, this Bush administration, who is as tight with Saudi Arabia as you can get. The president's father used to stay with the bin Laden family when he would go to Saudi Arabia.
In the past, though, the FBI has sometimes made problems worse by ignoring or denying them.
FBI management intentionally and repeatedly thwarted and obstructed my attempts to launch a more comprehensive investigation to identify and to neutralize terrorists. To the families and victims of September 11th, on behalf of John Vincent, Barry Carmody, and myself, we're sorry.
I want to say quietly, but as forcefully as I can, that I hope this doesn't go any further. It's gone too far already. I am appalled by it.
On September 13th, the United States government declares that it has overwhelming evidence that bin Laden is responsible for the attacks. The Taliban offers to hand over Osama bin Laden if the United States can provide evidence.
Our position in this regard is that if America have evidence and proofs, they should produce it, and we are ready for the trial of Osama bin Laden in the light of evidence.
Hold on. Time out. I thought they said that bin Laden ran the Taliban. So now we see the lies that's being uncovered. Now you see they say, Taliban says if U.S. attacks them, jihad is an obligation. This is after 9/11. So why would Osama and them have a reason to attack the U.S. if the U.S. never attacked Afghanistan? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's finish.
Willing to hand Osama bin Laden to the United States or no?
No. Without evidence, no.
September 23rd, 2001.
States. The Secretary of State said the administration would soon be able to document its case in public against the Al-Qaeda network and Osama bin Laden.
And I think it'll be persuasive.
By the next day, the White House was already backpedaling.
But is there any plan to present public evidence so that, the average citizen, not just Americans, but people all over the world, can understand the case against bin Laden?
Well, I think as Secretary Powell said, there's hope to do that and to do so in a timely fashion over some course of time. But I think the American people also understand that there are going to be times when that information cannot immediately be forthcoming, and the American people seem to be accepting of that.
It seems as though you're asking everyone to trust you.
This information has yet to be provided to the public. Instead of taking credit, bin Laden denies involvement in the attacks 3 times. December 13th, the Department of Defense releases a videotape allegedly discovered in a house in Jalalabad, Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden describes the attacks along with Khaled al-Harbi. American mainstream media and even President Bush would portray this videotape as absolute proof of his guilt. International establishments question the authenticity of the tape. December 26th, 2001. A Taliban official claims that he has attended the funeral of Osama bin Laden.
Wait a minute. What? Hold on. This is before the U.S. even went over there. It says Osama bin Laden has died a peaceful death due to an untreated illness. Pakistan Observer reported, citing a Taliban leader who allegedly, the Al-Qaeda leader. That's finished.
Next day, a video believed to be recorded on November 19th is broadcast, in which bin Laden praises the attack, but takes no responsibility. The next bin Laden video would not appear until October 29th, 2004, days before the presidential election. The video is described as the clearest claim of responsibility for 9/11. And when questioned why bin Laden's most wanted poster does not indict him for 9/11, the chief of investigative publicity for the FBI, Rex Toome, replied,
9/11 is not mentioned on bin Laden's most wanted poster is because the FBI has no hard evidence connecting Osama bin Laden to 9/11. Clearly, I
What? Oh, what?
couldn't really believe what I had just heard, so I repeated it. And he said, yes, that is correct. The FBI has no hard evidence connecting Osama bin Laden to 9/11.
What evidence do they have? 2 bags belonging to Mohammed Atta checked in at Portland Airport but failed to make Flight 11 at Boston, containing a 757 video tour and flight manual, an Arab-English dictionary, a handheld flight computer, a Quran, and his will. Why would Atta take his will onto a plane that would be destroyed in a fiery inferno? Marwan al-Sheikh's rental car, discovered at Logan Airport, containing an Arabic flight manual, an airport restricted area pass, and documents from Huffman Aviation. Nawaf al-Hazmi's rental car, discovered at Dulles Airport, containing Mohammed Atta's instructions, a check for a flight school in Phoenix, 4 drawings of a 757 cockpit, a knife, and maps of Washington and New York. Satam al-Sakami's passport, discovered below the Twin Towers.
Well, Dan, not far from here, a passerby found the passport of one of the hijackers.
How does...
Wait a minute, what? Now, I'm not one of the top FBI guys. I'm not an FBI guy at all. But I can even explain maps of New York and DC. Aren't they both tourist cities? Don't you go tour the cities? They are tourist attractions. So if he's coming over here to look at structures and tour the states, then wouldn't you have a map if you don't live here? What, is you going to walk around with a GPS? Wow.
How does a passport fly out of a man's pocket through a 400-mile-per-hour airplane crash, survive 9,000 gallons of jet fuel, and land intact on a sidewalk 1,000 feet below?
That don't even look like him. That's a deep fake right there. I'm gonna ask this question. Can somebody go and look at the United States of America visa licenses? This is what we're gonna do. Because I believe a passport is 4 to 8 years, right? If you pay regular price, is a 4-year. If you pay an extra price, it's 8 years, right? Why here is only 2 years? Wait a minute. 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. 0 minus 1 is 0. Right? 2 minus 2 is 2. 0 minus 0 is 0. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. And 2, which makes 7. The ending tail, 2 minus 0 is 2. They think they slick. They created a fake issue date and a fake expiration date, which coincides with the QSEP number at the bottom. So what they did was they added and subtracted these two together and made this, and then created an entity and his name, knowing that there's no way his passport would end up underneath all the rubble with a plane going 400 miles an hour and going through a structure that deflects planes. So not only did they capitalize off this, but they traded on this and they made more off of him by creating him as an entity, as a terrorist. Let's finish, because we're going to break this down in parts.
Mahed Maked and Nawaf al-Hazmi's ID cards discovered in the wreckage at the Pentagon. An ID, Saeed al-Ghamdi's passport, Ahmed al-Nami's driver's license, passport photos, and a business card found in Shanksville.
Well, the government is treacherous.
The list goes on. A former high-level intelligence official commented to New Yorker magazine, "Whatever trail was left deliberately for the FBI to chase."
They used hundreds of different payphones and cell phones, often with prepaid calling cards that are extremely difficult to trace. And they made sure that all the money sent to them to fund their attacks was wired in small amounts to avoid detection.
Small amounts? Lieutenant General Mahmoud Ahmed, the director of the Pakistani Inter-Services Intelligence Agency, the ISI, was reported to have wired $100,000 to Muhammad Atta in August 2001. This transfer was facilitated by Saeed Sheikh, the man who allegedly kidnapped and murdered Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl, who is investigating the ties between the ISI and Islamic militants.
And the Pakistanis, of course, if you know your history, have only been a couple of degrees of separation away from the so-called Al-Qaeda hijackers.
The ISI has had a long-standing relationship with the Central Intelligence Agency, dating back to the 1980s with the establishment of the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, which would evolve into Al-Qaeda.
I focus in on the wire transfer that General Mahmoud Ahmed wired to Muhammad Atta right before 9/11. That's pretty crucial because General Mahmoud Ahmed was actually meeting with key Washington, D.C. insiders, Senator Bob Graham, Porter Goss, the future director of CIA, on the morning of 9/11. And he has a relationship not only with the CIA, but with Dick Armitage at State Department, Mark Grossman at State Department.
Yes. Are you aware of the reports at the time that ISI chief was in Washington on September 11 and on September 10th, $100,000 was wired from Pakistan to these groups here in this area? And why he was here, was meeting with you or anybody in the administration?
I have not seen that report, and he was certainly not meeting with me. Yes?
In the White House transcript of this exchange, which is delivered to the press, the information about the ISI is censored. Bob Graham and Porter Goss will later co-head a joint inquiry which publicly claims that the Bush administration received absolutely no intelligence.
Look who you see there. You see Nancy Pelosi? Told y'all. You see Richard Shelby?
That could have prevented the attacks. The meeting begins.
Though they hurled the Republican name, they are rhinos.
At 8 a.m. over breakfast at the Capitol building and lasts through Flight 175's impact with the South Tower. During his visit, which began on September 4th, Ahmed would also meet with the present CIA director, George Tenet. A month later, after reports of the transfer between himself and Atta, Mahmoud Ahmed retires from the ISI. The 9/11 Commission report will later conclude that they saw no evidence that any foreign government or foreign government official supplied any funding. The Commission decided not only to omit the information, but to deny it entirely.
On page 172 of your report, the 911 report, you state, quote, "The U.S. government has not been able to determine the origin of the money used in the 911 attacks. Ultimately, the question is of little practical significance," end quote. How can you state that the question of who bankrolled the deaths of 3,000 American people on September 11th is, quote, of little practical significance?
Because it costs so little money. That's the ultimate. It costs less than $500,000. That's why it was so hard to trace. We were able to find pieces of the $500,000, but it came in very small pieces.
And you said earlier $500,000 to do the 9/11 operation. Well, we know that $100,000 was wired to Muhammad Atta directly from the head of Pakistani ISI.
Well, I'm not aware of $100,000 in the Pakistan, I think, is the most dangerous country in the world.
Why was there such a vested interest in covering up the transaction between the ISI and Muhammad Atta?
And let's talk about that wire transfer, because Governor Kaine had no basis for denial, because the FBI and the Wall Street Journal confirmed the General Mahmoud Ahmed wire transfer I'm talking about. But the 9/11 Commission deliberately said that funding is not important and assigning blame is not important to them, but it is to us.
As if their funding was not suspicious enough, a number of hijackers reportedly trained at U.S. military bases.
As hard as this is to believe that two of the alleged terrorists involved in what happened on Tuesday may have attended schools run by the U.S. military. Now, this is according to a senior defense official.
Ahmed al-Nami, Ahmed al-Ghamdi, and Saeed al-Ghamdi listed their address on both driver's licenses and car registrations as the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida. Muhammad Atta reportedly graduated from the U.S. International Office School at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. In response to a Freedom of Information Act, Captain Jason Taylor confirmed that a Muhammad Atta trained there between 1998 and 1999, but did not verify if it was the same person. Abdulaziz Al-Amari attended Brooks Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. Saeed al-Ghamdi and others attended the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, as confirmed by Lieutenant Colonel Steve Butler, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. American media ceases investigation when the Air Force says, "We are probably not talking about the same people." Two of the hijackers, Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Madar, rented an apartment from and lived with an FBI informant. Curiously, a number of them were reported to still be alive after the attack. Finally, we were led to believe that the alleged hijackers were fundamentalist Muslims spending their final days preparing for paradise. Yet, in the week before the attacks, a number of them would drink, visit strip clubs, and solicit prostitutes.
By all accounts, Atta and his cousin kept to themselves, except for last Thursday at this bar in Hollywood, Florida. It's believed both men came in, drank heavily, and then refused to pay the bill.
And the guy got very, very offended, and he said to me, "Oh, I can pay my bill. I'm an airline pilot." And I was like, okay.
Mahed Maked is spotted several times at a porn shop. Hamza al-Ghamdi ordered a porno in his hotel on September 10th. The mayor of Paterson, New Jersey, states that they are spotted more at go-go clubs than at mosques. Regardless of their actions, some of the hijackers' presence was known as early as 2000.
What did we know? When did we know it? That's what some congressmen are asking now, and asking quite loudly. Did we know the year before 9/11 that one of the hijackers was a terrorist threat?
Army Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer has gone public with his charge that Able Danger, a military intelligence project he worked with in 2000, identified Muhammad Atta, even pulled up his picture along with 3 other 9/11 hijackers as possible al-Qaeda members.
We found the identities of 4 of the 9/11 hijackers prior to 9/11.
But he says beginning in September 2000, 3 meetings he set up with the FBI were each canceled by military lawyers. Schaefer also says he remembers telling then 9/11 Commission staff at a meeting in Afghanistan about Atta and what the intelligence unit found back in 2000. And he was surprised that it did not show up in the Commission's report.
I'm told confidently by the person who did move the material over that the 9/11 Commission received 2 briefcase-size containers of documents. I can tell you for a fact that would not be 1/20th of the information that Able Danger consisted of during the time we spent.
A 9/11 Commission spokesman said nothing they got from the Pentagon in early 2004 backed up Schaefer's claim, quote, "None of the documents turned over to the Commission mentioned Muhammad Atta or any of the other future hijackers."
Where is it? Where's the beef? Where's the substance? Where is this mysterious chart that purportedly says that Atta was connected in some real way to these other hijackers? We'd love to see it.
The company responsible for the chart, Orion Scientific Systems, would claim that only 2 charts were produced and that Atta was not present on either one.
Throw them all out, John. These are all the charts. Spread them out.
These are all Orion-produced charts. These charts were all done by the data mining efforts. So the Orion Corporation lied to the Senate Judiciary Committee staff. All data mining efforts, and yet the company said to the Senate Judiciary staff, we don't have any of those charts. They're not ours. Well, here they are. And their logos are on each one of them.
Well, Mr. Chairman, at least 2 of the 5 people that were going to appear today were threatened with removal of their security clearances if they continue to talk about this. This is going
Are you
back.
at liberty to identify who those 2 are?
I will to you. I'd rather do it privately since the Defense Department has chosen not to allow anyone to testify, but I will provide that information to the committee.
For the life of me, I don't understand why, as I understand it, I stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I...
Hold on. You trying to tell me that that man right there is the same man as president now? I just want to know. When I told you that this president is an actor, that is not him.
I understand the witnesses we assumed we were going to get to hear from the Defense Department have been pulled. They may be or may not.
Now tell me the president now is this man. Tell me the president now is this man. Take good look at the eyes. The eyes are jet black. Who you know eyes are jet black? People and everything else. I'm going to give you something else to look at. Why is the eyes black? This is a pedophile. This is a pedophile. Who you know mouth stretched back like a mask like this? And pay attention to something else. Why he just staring straight? Let's watch.
Be in the room, but have been instructed that they cannot testify. I think that's a big mistake.
This is actually a chart of Al-Qaeda.
And that Atta was not present on either
Look at the guy behind Joe Biden. That's some creepy stuff.
one.
Throw them all out, John. These are all the charts. Spread them out. These are all Orion-produced charts. These charts were all done by the data mining efforts. So the Orion Corporation lied to the Senate Judiciary Committee staff. All data mining efforts. And yet the company said to the Senate Judiciary staff, we don't have any of those charts. They're not ours. Well, here they are. And their logos are on each one of them.
Well, Mr. Chairman, at least 2 of the 5 people that were going to appear today were threatened with removal of their security clearances if they continue to talk about this. This is going
Are you
back.
at liberty to identify who those 2 are?
I will to you. I'd rather do it privately since the Defense Department has chosen not to allow anyone to testify, but I will provide that information to the committee.
For the life of me, I don't understand why, as I understand it, I stand corrected if I'm wrong.
Now watch this. This Joe Biden is the chairman Senate Committee on Foreign Relations member, right? Senate Committee on the Judiciary. Why can't this MFer do anything on foreign relations now? Make it make sense. They can't do it now.
But I understand the witnesses we assumed we were going to get to hear from.
Watch the guy behind Joe Biden. Why his head don't move?
From the Defense Department have been pulled. They may be or may not be in the room, but have been instructed that they cannot testify. I think that's a big mistake.
This is actually a chart of Al-Qaeda and the various cells around the world. Much of this data, most of it was obtained prior to 9/11 by the work of Able Danger. As you see, there is an actual photograph of Muhammad Atta.
What does that depict generally?
It depicts the organizational and activity associations of Al-Qaeda operatives that were involved in 9/11 and related events.
And at the time, if the commission had looked into this in early 2004, the charts that had Muhammad Atta on it still existed. There was a chart in Mr. Smith's office. There was the chart that still should have been in the Defense Intelligence Agency because it wasn't destroyed within Lieutenant Colonel Schaefer's files until the spring of 2004. The same with the chart that Mr. Smith had.
Our support to Able Danger became severely restricted and ultimately shut down due to intelligence oversight concerns. I was supported vigorously by both the LEWA and the INSCOM chain of commands, and we actively worked to overcome this shutdown for the next several months. In the midst of this shutdown, I, along with one of my analysts, Chief Warrant Officer 3 Terry, Harry Stevens were forced to destroy all data, charts, and other analytical products that we had not already passed on to SOCOM related to Able Danger.
Another former DOD official will testify today that he was ordered to destroy up to 2.5 terabytes of data. Now, I don't know what a terabyte of data is, so we contact.
Hold up. He was ordered to destroy 245 terabytes of data. You know how much data that is? That's enough data to program everybody in the world, movements, lifestyle, birth, death, and everything else. That part, Mama Mary. His eyes are all black. That's weird. Ain't nobody eyes like that. Not even the crazy people.
To the Library of Congress. It's equal to 1/4 of all the entire written collection that the Library of Congress maintains.
Are you in a position to evaluate the credibility of Captain Philpott and Colonel Schaefer, Mr. Westfall, Ms. Preissler, Mr. J.D. Smith, as to their credibility when they say they saw Muhammad Atta on a chart?
Yes, sir. I believe them implicitly.
Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, who was the first member of Able Danger to go public, has now been told in writing by the Defense Intelligence Agency that he can't speak to members of Congress or their staff without prior approval. And now a security clearance, which allowed him to deal with classified information, has been pulled. The congressman says Schaefer has...
Hold on. It's two words that should stand out to you. The Congress calls for probe into Defense Department witch hunt, right? But nobody in Congress got called to court. Donald Trump called elections of the witch hunt. Harrison Floyd called the elections with a witch hunt, and 17 others. And guess what? You in court. Make this shit make sense.
Has been gagged, punished for speaking up.
The official response to Able Danger began in September 2005 with a letter from 9/11 Commissioner Slade Gordon to Senator Arlen Specter. Gordon concludes by saying that since Condoleezza Rice, President Bush, and the White House denied that Able Danger identified the 9/11 hijackers, it never happened. A 6-month investigation by the Senate Intelligence Committee concluded in December 2006 that Able Danger did not identify Muhammad Atta or any other 9/11 hijacker. Can we be certain that the hijackers were radical Muslims on a suicide mission? Or is there a possibility that they were trained, funded, and protected in our own country?
Let's go.
Yes, ma'am, Sergeant Lorda. Yes. I'm just letting you know for information we're having an exercise, SF exercise. We're having a comm out.
Okay.
Guys.
Happy, thanks.
All right, thank you.
They're having an exercise outside of an exercise. Uh-oh.
Between September 2000 and June 2001, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, would scramble fighter jets to intercept errant aircraft 67 times. Interceptions are routine and usually occur within 10 minutes of a sign of trouble, such as permanently losing radio contact and transponder signal or flying off course. On the morning of September 11th, according to official accounts, 4 commercial airliners would be off course and out of communication, and not one of them would be intercepted.
How is it that on 4 separate occasions on one day that $1 trillion military and intelligence infrastructure could fail?
I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center, take another one and slam it into the Pentagon.
Nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government that could envision flying airplanes into buildings.
on such a massive scale.
But that turns out not to be true. U.S. military planners did envision and practice those very scenarios. As reported by USA Today, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, conducted exercises with fighter jets, simulating hijacked planes flown into the World Trade Center in the 2 years before the attacks. Pentagon planners also envisioned the attack on the Pentagon 5 months before it happened. According to this April 2001 Pentagon email, Air Force officials wanted a war game, having a terrorist group hijack a commercial airline and fly it into the Pentagon. The idea was to check response times to launch fighter jets. But according to the Pentagon email, the plan was ultimately rejected by senior Pentagon officials as too unrealistic. Still to come are big questions about NORAD's response on the day of the attack. Why, despite all the exercises and the planning, Peter, jet fighters were not in place anywhere near New York or Washington.
Quite an amazing story. Many thanks, Brian. Brian Ross.
One drill, called Amalgam Virgo, was conducted on June 1st and 2nd, 2001, and simulated successful terrorist attacks. Its purpose was to focus on unconventional threats, including an airborne hijacking. One plan would simulate the hijacking of a commercial airliner, which would be crashed into the Capitol. The second part of the exercise, which was planned but not executed before 9/11, involved 2 planes with actual pilots on the flight deck. FBI agents would hijack the planes and divert them to secure locations. And on its cover, Osama bin Laden. In fact, multiple war games were underway on 9/11 itself.
The question was, we had 4 war games going on September 11th, and the question that I tried to pose before the secretary had to go to lunch was whether or not the activities of the 4 war games going on September 11th actually impaired our ability to respond to the attacks.
The answer to the question is no, did not impair our response. In fact, General Eberhard, who was then the commander of North American Aerospace Defense Command, as he testified in front of the 9/11 Commission, I believe he told them that it enhanced our ability to respond. There were 2 CPXs. There was 1 Department of Justice exercise that didn't have anything to do with the other 3. And there was an actual operation ongoing because there was some Russian bomber activity up near Alaska.
So, did the war games ultimately help or hinder our response? September 11th was day 2 of Vigilant Guardian, an exercise staged by the Joint Chiefs and NORAD, which simulated hijacked planes in the northeastern United States. Vigilant Guardian is a branch of Global Guardian, a mass Armageddon exercise being conducted at Offutt Air Force Base in cooperation with NORAD. Originally scheduled to take place in late October, Global Guardian was moved to September. The exercise is reportedly canceled after the second Twin Tower is hit. 3 E-4B Doomsday planes remain airborne.
2 government sources familiar with the incident tell CNN it was a military aircraft, but say the details are classified. This comparison of the CNN video and an official Air Force photo suggests the mystery plane is among the military's most sensitive aircraft, an Air Force E-4B. The E-4B is a state-of-the-art flying command post, built and equipped for one reason: to keep the government running no matter what, even in the event of a nuclear war. Ask the Pentagon, and it insists this is not a military aircraft, and there is no mention of it in the official report of the 9/11 Commission. The Pentagon, the Secret Service, and the FAA all say they, at least for public consumption, have no explanation of the giant plane over the president's house, just as the smoke began to rise across the river at the Pentagon.
Barksdale Air Force Base also participated in Global Guardian. Instead of returning directly to Washington, D.C., President Bush would fly to both Barksdale and Offutt Air Force Base before returning to the White House. Another drill, Northern Vigilance, moved fighter jets to Canada and Alaska to monitor a fleet of Russian MiGs on a training mission. Northern Vigilance also placed inputs onto military radar screens, also referred to as phantoms. Inputs are simulated errant aircraft, which appear real to those participating in the exercise.
We fought many phantoms that day.
3 F-16s from Andrews Air Force Base, located 15 miles from the Pentagon, are flown 180 nautical miles away for a training mission in North Carolina. Fort Belvoir, an Army base 10 miles south of the Pentagon, intended to test security in case of a terrorist attack. Employees in the Office of Emergency Management on the 23rd floor of World Trade Center Building 7 continue preparations for Tripod, a biological attack drill scheduled for September 12th. Finally, the National Reconnaissance Office in Virginia begins a drill at 8:45, conducted by a team from the CIA, in which a plane crashes into their building. Also, a number of war games were being conducted that have yet to be fully disclosed.
Ask about the war games that were planned for 9/11.
Commissioner Gorelick.
Could you please be quiet? We have only a few minutes with General Myers. I'd like to ask a question. General Myers, I'm sorry.
I would ask, please, people in the audience to be quiet if you want to stay here. Submitted some.
Sir, statement. This commission has not answered my questions. I'm walking out. It's a farce. I will. Thank you.
So let me get this straight. On the morning of 9/11, the United States is running drills in which hijacked aircraft go in and out of radar. Fighter jets are flown out of the United States, and planes are crashed into buildings. What a coincidence.
And in terms of what motivated me to bring all the aircraft down, as you see one thing happen, that's an accident. When you see two of the same thing occur, it's a pattern. But when you see three of the same thing occur, it's a program. And so at that point, I decided to bring all the aircraft down.
And so, at 9:45, all airborne planes were forced to land. This order applied to all civilian aircraft. Certain military planes were allowed to remain airborne. By 12:16 that afternoon, the FAA managed to ground over 4,000 planes without incident.
During the time that the airplane coming in to the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the vice president, the plane is 50 miles out, the plane is 30 miles out. And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, do the orders still stand? And the vice president turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?
(9:37), Arlington, Virginia. American Airlines Flight 77 allegedly crashes into the ground floor of the Pentagon. Pentagon authorities will deny that the building had anti-aircraft defense. The FBI arrives within minutes, and the site is declared a federal crime scene, becoming their exclusive responsibility. With the help of civilians, they comb the Pentagon lawn for debris, and within...
Hold on! I want y'all to pay attention now. Because now I told y'all they use symbols. Pay attention to this right now. Watch this.
24 hours, they had confiscated every known video of the attack. Pentagon officials initially...
All right, now I'm going to stop that right there. Right? I'm going to tell you why I'm going to stop that right there. Because now what y'all about to see is some next level stuff. What y'all about to see is next level stuff. All right? So hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta get it back because I don't know how I messed that up. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
Pause to mark the 5th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. The information that the Central Intelligence Agency has obtained by questioning men like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has provided valuable information and has helped disrupt terrorist plots, including strikes within the United States. For example, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed described the design of planned attacks on buildings inside the U.S. and how operatives were directed to carry them out. That is valuable information for those of us who have the responsibility to protect the American people. He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping. He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping.
Did y'all just hear what he said? Did y'all just hear what he said? Hold on. No. Look at this. No proof U.S. assassinated bin Laden, claims UN expert. Hold on. Let's never forget that Donald Rumsfeld announces $2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon on September the 10th, 2001, too. So,
the explosives.
Hold on.
He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping. He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping. The explosives.
So hold on. What is the coincidence of this picture? What is the coincidence of this picture? I just want to know, what's the coincidence of this picture? Here we go. I've been telling y'all about this stuff, right? Paper airplanes. Back of the $20 bill shows the World Trade Center attacks. 9 plus 11 equals 20. Say what? Say what? Okay. I just have to make sure y'all can hear me. See, check this out. I'm going to show you. 9/11 was the date, right? This also, when you do it by calendar, when you come down from the 2 tallest buildings, you got the 9th tier, which is the South Tower, and you got the 11th tier, which is the North Tower. I'm just trying to help you. Watch this. Ain't no plane gonna do that. Watch this. How did this explode up here if the plane entered right here? Those were detonators. Now, how did this building fall right here if only this building is burning? They were detonators. Look, World Trade Center under construction in 1970. Those are beams. They not exploding. They gotta melt. These are beams. And at that, they're titanium. So how did that happen? Look, this is what they found. Ain't nowhere in the world, man. So lightning and storms did this. A bird did this. But this happened to buildings? Get out of here, man. Please stop. Here's where I wanted, this is why I wanted Levi. 9/11 Memorial Black Cubes. The Black Saturn equals Satan cubes. Aerial view of 9/11 Memorial, right? Why are the inside of the black cubes lit up? Then it says, in Templar Masonry, Saturn, which means Satan, was assigned the color black on its outer sphere. The two inverted black cubes of the 9/11 Memorial resemble a variation of the black Saturn Satan cube, where each World Trade Tower once stood. Below, angled view of the black cube resembles Freemasonry symbol of compass and square. "9/11 spelled backwards mean what? Lie.
Obviously, the war in Iraq is a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced the president, it took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
That's gall to go after.
The World Trade Center came down.
The gall to go after my mother.
Remember that.
Now, Trump been calling them out for years. Now you understand the hatred for Trump? He's been calling them out for years.
Obviously, the war in Iraq is a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced the president, it took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
That's gall to go after.
The World Trade Center came down.
The gall to go after my mother.
Remember that.
just had to go home and go after my mother.
That's not keeping.
Look, I won the lottery when I was born 63 years ago. Looked up and I saw my mom. My mom is the strongest woman I know.
He should be running.
Not about
So you heard what he said? The World Trade Center, the Twin Towers came down under your brother's name. But they don't want to talk about that. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
You think 9/11 was 9/11? It was a lie. It was not the Middle East that attacked us. It was our own damn country in the form of the deep state, the military industrial complex. And they fooled you then. Don't let them fool you again. I don't know where George Bush 43 is. I got an idea where 41 is. But when the truth comes out, I suspect old George Bush 43 is going to be glad that he's either in Gitmo or he's already been shot by a firing squad, because he was involved in killing over 2,800 Americans when they tore down two towers to hide the destruction of Tower 7, where all the records were kept to show the trillions of dollars that the military had spent that they couldn't account for. You better wake up, Meta Georgia.
On top of that, what Linwood is talking about are the secret accounts that me and Vi been telling y'all about. They destroyed the records. That's what the Twin Towers were, a record center.
I saw this huge explosion. I was with a group of people, and I really couldn't even believe it. And now I'm looking at absolutely nothing. It's just gone, and it's just hard to believe. And you're going to see a skyline without these two buildings. You're going to say, what happened? People won't believe it.
Donald,
it's hard to believe. Most people feel they know at least approximately the group of people that did this and where they are. But boy, would you have to take a hard line on this. You know, the World Trade Center was always known as a very, very strong building. I mean, so this was an unbelievably powerful building. If you know anything about structure, it was one of the first buildings that was built from the outside. The steel, the reason the World Trade Center had such narrow windows is that in between all the windows, you had the steel on the outside. So you had the steel on the outside of the building. That's why when I first looked, and you had big, heavy I-beams. When I first looked at it, I couldn't believe it because...
I'm just saying, I'm just giving y'all life. Now look at this. Watch this. Computer simulation and mathematical analysis of the UA-175 impact by MIT, University of Purdue, and others indicate that upon impact, the wings of the Boeing 767-200 would have shattered and the fuel ignited outside the tower's facade. The aircraft would have lost about 25% of its kinetic energy on impact, and that the tail fin would have sheared off due to torsional forces. The footage of airplanes hitting the towers is computer-generated imagery, which can be the best of the best. That lets you know that when they hit, they had detonators that exploded. That's the only way that building coming down. Look. Shanksville 9/11. Right? The ground swallow flight 9/11 that day. The plane is remaining 5,500 gallons of fuel, every passenger and their belongings, every chair, drink chart, window, door, panel, and screw. Where is the plane? Okay, let's go there. Russia. When they hit that big building over there and to topple and the Soviet Union, you see plane debris. Let's go diagonally over to the right, Amsterdam. When the plane crashed, you see plane debris. Missouri. Do anybody know what this was? This was Black Wall Street. This was Black Wall Street. You see the plane. But Shanksville, which is in Virginia, where's the damn plane? Where's the plane? Can somebody that's legally stooped tell me? Watch this. It is impossible for a wingtip to have cut through those 14-inch steel columns. Look at this. Impossible. So what they did was they showed you something called ultralight beam. Ultralight beam will give you a projected imagery as it's true, but it's actually not. See? Boeing 767 density aluminum, 27,000 kilograms, M3rd, approximately a ½ inch thick. WTC construction, nearly 2 feet thick. Density steel, 80-30 kilograms, M3rd. Impossible. It's impossible. Look, when plane wings meet up with birds, this happened. They cut straight through. Look, the bird got shattered. So this is not possible. How can a wing cut through steel beams? That's 80-30. Impossible. That's the thickest beam in the world. I like this. Oh, how they must laugh at us. Yeah. Watch this. Only 2 months before 9/11, the World Trade Center was privatized and sold to Larry Silverstein. Every single morning, he ate breakfast in North Tower on the 91st floor, but not on 9/11. His wife made him an emergency doctor's appointment that day. He also had bought an insurance plan that fortunately covered terrorism. How ironic. After the attack, he took the insurance company to court. Silverstein won and was paid double, being awarded a total of $4.55 billion. This $455 billion. This may be the largest insurance fraud in history, and he's still a free man. How? $14 inches versus 14 inches, right? 14 inches ain't thin.
Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready. Kid. Yes. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. What word? Kid. Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready. Steel. What word? Steel. Yes, steel. Read these words the fast way. Get ready. Play. Yes, playing. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready. Kit. Yes, kit. Get ready. Steel. Yes, steel. Get ready. Play. Yes, playing. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Or you go pick your reader up from under your seat.
There you go.
Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 1.
And as soon as they learn that, look what happens. America's under attack, and he just sat there. This is at 6 a.m. over 9/11. You mean to tell me those buildings? Now wait, and you see the dark spot in the buildings? Those are double beams. A triple beam, I'm sorry. And this spot right here is a double beam. So you got triple beam, double beam, triple beam. Optics. When a plane hit a beam, it's not going to implode. It's going to topple. Why these things implode? Look again.
the old demolitions of these old buildings. It
My
pulled
God.
it down on itself, and it is not there anymore.
You see the explosion? That's not coming from no aircraft.
Just disappeared into its own dust.
Now watch this. The other plane had to hit almost simultaneously to take your mind off of that. See, these devils think they slick, man. Hold on. Hold on. I told you I'm going to take you into my world. And being in my world, if you can't handle the truth, you might well stop. It took me a while to digest this. What is that? Dumps. Okay. Get more TV. Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. What is that? Here it is. Hold on. I want y'all to see this. Okay. This is where we was at. Right here. Check it out. Okay, this is where we was at.
Wow. That apparently does look like it is in the other building at this point. Back off.
Right. Yep.
They're telling us to back off.
Hold on. You see how it hit and nothing happened? That's an explosion from the inside. Exactly. You got it.
Know for a fact that he poisoned his own people. He doesn't believe in the worth of each individual. We must do everything we possibly can to stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Mr. Bush, when are you going to apologize for the million Iraqis that are dead because you lied? You lied about weapons of mass destruction. You lied about connections to 9/11. You lied about Iraqi descent. You sent me to Iraq. You sent me to Iraq in 2003. My friends are dead. Trust me, you lied about WMD. A million Iraqis are dead because you lied. My friends are dead because you lied. You need to apologize. Apologize.
The tyrant has fallen, and Iraq is free.
So here's my question. When is he going to be held accountable for killing all those folks on 9/11?
Started walking down the stairs. We made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Blew us back into the 8th floor. And I turned to Hesh. I said, "This is it. We're dead. We're not going to make it out of here." I took a fire extinguisher and I bust the window out. That's when this gentleman here heard my cries for help. Hi, my name is Barry Jennings. I'm 52 years old. I've worked for 33 years at one location. When the Office of Emergency Management did an activation, they always included our locale. And what they did was monitor the emergency. They actually coordinated the emergency through several agencies. I received the call shortly after the first plane hit. I got there. I had to be inside on the 23rd floor when the second plane hit. Upon arriving into the OEM EOC, we noticed that everybody was gone. I saw coffee that was on a desk. Still, the smoke was still coming off the coffee. I saw half-eaten sandwiches, and only me, Mr. Hess, was up there. After I called several individuals, one individual told me that to leave and leave right away. Mr. Hess came running back in and said, "We're the only ones up here. We got to get out of here." He found the stairwell. So we subsequently went to the stairwell and we're going down the stairs. When we reached the 6th floor, the landing that we were standing on gave way. There was an explosion and the landing gave way. And I was left there hanging. I had to climb back up, and now I had to walk back up to the 8th floor. When I made it to the 6th floor, and there was an explosion. The explosion was beneath me. Keep in mind now, it's pitch black in there. All the lights went out. So when the explosion happened, it blew us back. I'm thinking I'm standing on the landing. I'm actually holding on to a pole above us. Really? And I had to climb back up because Hess is yelling, "What do we do now?" I said, "There's only one thing we can do, and it's go back up." Both buildings were still standing. Keep in mind, I told you the fire department came and ran. They came twice. Why? Because building tower 1 fell, then tower 2 fell. And then when they came back with all concern now, like, to get me the hell out of there. I was trapped in there for several hours. I was trapped in there when both buildings came down. All this time, I'm hearing all type of explosions. All this time, I'm hearing explosions. When they finally got to us, and they took us down to what they called the lobby, because I asked them, I said, when we got down there, I said, "Where are we?" He said, "This was the lobby." And I said, "You got to be kidding me." It was total ruins. Total ruins. Now, keep in mind, when I came in there, the lobby had nice escalators. It was a huge lobby. And for me to see what I saw, it was unbelievable. And the firefighter that took us down kept saying, "Do not look down." And I kept saying, "Why?" He said, "Do not look down." And we were stepping over people. And you know, you can feel when you're stepping over people. This big, giant police officer came to me. And he says, "You have to run." I said, "I can't run. My knees are swollen." He said, "You'll have to get on your knees and crawl in." He said, "Because we have reports of more explosions." And that's when I started crawling. And I saw this guy fall behind me. And his comrades came to his aid. They dragged him to safety. I'm just confused about one thing, and one thing only. Why World Trade Center 7 went down in the first place. I'm very confused about that. I know what I heard. I heard explosions. The explanation I got was it was the fuel oil tank. I'm an old boiler guy. If it was a fuel oil tank, it would have been one side of the building.
Hold on. is no hold on.
Take a look at this rare, super slow motion video of Flight 175 that hit the South World Trade Center tower on 9/11/2001. Take a really close look because there are two impossibilities I'm going to show you here. This video was allegedly shot by Michael Herzakani, a diamond merchant based in Los Angeles, California. The first impossibility is a real airplane couldn't have sliced through a building with a steel facade with reinforced concrete flooring and 47 steel support beams. A jet's wing can't slice through a steel building like a hot knife through butter. But that's the story the news media wants us to believe, and most people are still believing this hoax. But the second impossibility is in plain sight. In fact, I can't believe it took me over 12 years to see. Let me show you a still of this video. I've highlighted a building that's clearly behind the South World Trade Center tower. Yet when we pay close attention to the video, Flight 175's wing should appear in front of the building, not behind it. This is a layering CGI glitch, and this proves that this video, which was seen all over the world, over and over and over again, year after year, is a CGI rendering. Thus, it's not an amateur witness video. It's a fake. And this is one of many, many faked videos put out by the news media. I've turned on the sharing option for this video, so you have my permission to copy and paste it onto your Blogger website. And I'm putting the finishing touches on my own video, showing how just about everything about 9/11 is faked, just like this Flight 175 video. If you'd like to be the first to find out about this when I release it, click on the link to be alerted.
What the hell? Okay, here it is. When you have full awareness of what Project Bluebeam is and its technologies, it is easier to realize how 9/11 was pulled off 20 years ago, when the public had no clue of this type of technology. No high-def TV, no high-res video cameras, no smartphones. And most people at the time was only using dial-up modems for internet. Many kids today doesn't even know what that is. It's not that hard to fool the world's population when all the media, matrix companies, and governments push a specific narrative while scrubbing everything that stated otherwise. This is what I was telling you about Project Bluebeam. Check it out. This is what the dragon was. Okay, that's what I say. What the hell? Check it out. That's all technology. And you mean to tell me those people in the back ain't see that dragon? Watch this. All of this is technology. Ain't none of this real. This is all water right here. Look, no planes hit the towers on 9/11. Tried to tell you. Tried to tell you. Trying to tell y'all. Watch this. That's a rocket being shot from somewhere. Ain't no plane hit the Pentagon. That's a rocket. All of this is demonic, Steph. All of this is demonic. It's so much to this. Look, this may be the most damning event, although the whole thing was incredibly evil. Inside World Trade Center 7, Department of Defense, CIA, Secret Service, IRS, Securities and Exchange Commission, New York Office of Emergency Management. All the money, accounting, and receipts were destroyed with building WTC 7. The paperwork of Nazareth was also in building 7. There you go right there. There you go right there. Yeah, but they celebrating Jesus' birthday today. So when I tell you, it's so much that I can show y'all, man. That like it's so much, but it'll really like break you. So hold on, I'm about to take you back. I'm about to take you back. Hold on, and I'm gonna finish letting y'all watch the movie. When I tell y'all, man, this stuff is nothing but evil. Hold on.
However, on March 7th, 2002, 5 images taken by a security camera from across the heliport are released. For years, these 5 frames were the only public footage of the Pentagon attack. This would change on October 14th, 2004, when Scott Bingham would file a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit requesting videotapes that captured the impact of Flight 77. Special Agent Jacqueline McGuire of the FBI located a CD-ROM that contains copies of 2 time-lapse recordings made by security cameras, released on March 16, 2006. A video taken from a Citgo gas station, which is open only to Pentagon employees, released on September 15, 2006. And the Doubletree Hotel in Arlington, Virginia, released on December 7, 2006. Agent McGuire concluded that the FBI possessed 85 videotapes that might be potentially responsive. As of this date, we have no clear images of what happened at the Pentagon on the morning of 9/11. The official story goes as such. American Airlines Flight 77 was taken over by 5 hijackers, led by Hani Hanjour. Hanjour entered the United States in 1996 to become a professional airline pilot. He would not complete a single course.
It was kind of a waste of time. He wouldn't show up for flights on time, didn't do his homework.
Average or below average piloting skills. English was very poor, uneventful from our perspective.
The
the 9/11 Commission concludes that Hanior was perhaps the most experienced and highly trained pilot.
Flight 93's hijacker, Saeed Al-Ghamdi, was a former Saudi fighter pilot. How could Hanior be more experienced than him? On the morning of 9/11, Hani Hanior and his 4 accomplices traveled to Dulles International Airport outside of Washington, D.C. They had spent the weeks beforehand at the Valencia Motel in Laurel, Maryland, 6 miles from the National Security Agency. All 5 will set off metal detectors and be subjected to additional screening, yet all of them proceed to board American Airlines Flight 77, which is described by the Washington Post as unusually light on passengers. Out of 188 seats, 64 would be filled. In fact, all 4 planes involved in 9/11 would be at approximately 30% capacity. The hijackers will board alongside Barbara Olson, the wife of Solicitor General Ted Olson, and a number of employees from Boeing, Raytheon, the Department of Defense, Lockheed Martin, American Airlines, the Navy, Army, and other government agencies. The pilots were Officer David Charlebois and Captain Charles Burlingame. Charles Frank Burlingame III, an aeronautical engineer and a graduate of both the Naval Academy and Top Gun Fighter Pilot School, flew F-4 fighter jets and developed anti-terrorism strategies at the Pentagon before retiring in 1989 to take a job at American Airlines. He would remain active in the reserves and anti-terrorism exercises until 1996. His Boeing 757 would be crashed into the very section of the Pentagon he used to work in. The hijackers would have only moments to subdue both Charlebois and Burlingame, remove them from the cockpit, and retain control of the airplane. Yet, the plane is hijacked without incident at 8:51 and makes an unauthorized turn to the south 3 minutes later. No mayday, no hijack code, no sign of struggle. Flight 77 will fly all the way back from the Kentucky-Ohio border, coasting for another 43 minutes against its flight path before crashing into the Pentagon without any military interception. Had Hani Hanior wanted to inflict maximum damage, all he had to do was continue his trajectory and nose down into the roof of the Pentagon. Instead, he begins a complicated 330-degree turn, dropping 7,000 feet and exposing himself for an additional 3 minutes while executing a maneuver described by experienced pilots as nearly impossible, requiring professional expertise. In essence, an amateur pilot considered a waste of resources by instructors, who was unable to control a small Cessna in August 2001, executed this nearly impossible maneuver in a 757 with skilled precision a month later.
Todd Lewis is working radar at Dulles Airport.
One of my colleagues saw a target moving from the northwest to the southeast.
And it was just a countdown, 10 miles west.
And she notified the supervisor.
9 miles west.
But nobody knew that was a commercial flight at the time. Nobody knew that was American 77.
What did you think? It was a military flight of some kind?
I thought it was a military flight. I thought that Langley had scrambled some fighters and...
It was almost a sense of relief. This must be a fighter.
Maybe one of them got up there.
It was really moving fast.
It was moving very fast, like a military aircraft might move at a low altitude.
This must be one of our guys, sent in, scrambled to patrol our capital.
The 757 will descend over Columbia Pike, flying adjacent to the Sheraton Hotel, Virginia Department of Transportation, Navy Annex, and fly past the Citgo gas station before crossing Washington Boulevard. 5 light poles are knocked out of the ground. One reportedly strikes a Washington, D.C. taxi driven by Lloyd England. Flight 77 manages to hit the only section that was reinforced to withstand a terrorist attack, including reinforced steel and blast-resistant Kevlar windows an 1.5 inches thick. The renovation, planning for which had begun in 1991, was only days away from completion. Had the plane struck anywhere else, the casualties and damage would have been far greater. An area that normally would have housed up to 5,000 occupants yielded 125 casualties. The Pentagon's outer wall had a hole approximately 20 feet in diameter on the first and second floor, and visible damage 90 feet across the first floor.
I would say if it was 16 feet diameter, 20 feet tops, that's what would start me so curious. As I was trying to find something, there was no marks on the grass. Something never hit the ground. It didn't hit the heliport. I mean, it was a precision or awfully lucky hit. I mean, I don't know how it didn't bounce. I don't know how it hit directly in the side of the building without touching the ground, going as fast as it obviously was going. But I can't believe the thing is more than a garage door. And again, the classic airplane crash has wreckage. I mean, they found axles from the Ryder truck in Oklahoma City. I can't believe they can't find an engine.
Opinions differed at this point. People that believe a 757 hit the Pentagon, and people that don't. Those that believe a 757 did hit are fueled by the damage path, wreckage outside the building, and eyewitness testimony.
While we were sitting in the office, and all of a sudden we heard some rumbling, something is kind of hitting us. Very imminent things could happen. So we look at each other, and it really, the noise is unbearable. And at the last moment, my brother jumped out the office.
I heard about the very weak jet sound. Looks like just up to here. I just look at the outside, big black wings coming that way. And then I just running out, and then 2-3 seconds, boom.
We're used to seeing planes.
Maybe a 20-passenger corporate jet, no markings on the side.
I saw a plane going down, big plane, commercial liner type.
And I saw this jet coming in, and it was really low, and it was an American Airlines jet. You could read the AA on the side, silver fuselage.
This particular plane was awful low, and as we were coming down on a 395, it came across in front of us, and it was low.
Coming in at a shallow angle like it was landing right into the side of the Pentagon.
It just happened. It was really amazing.
Huge explosion.
So you actually saw the plane impact the side of the building?
Yes, I did.
Just one plane?
Just one plane.
I basically made a turn too early and ended up right in front of the Pentagon on Route 27, which goes just, I didn't even know it was the Pentagon. I mean, I've grown up in this area, but I just am basically never over there. Besides, you can't really tell it's five-sided anyway, so I didn't even know it was a Pentagon. But I was just in traffic. My main focus was that I was late for this service, and we were stuck in totally standstill traffic, just sitting dead still on the highway. And basically, without warning, there was just the sensation of something coming over the top of us. It seems the plane was so low that it hit a light pole that was just on the edge of the highway, on the far side there. Before it came over the highway, it clipped this pole, which I heard ended up being knocked over and hitting a taxi, which was near my car.
Okay, my name is Lloyd England. 9/11, I was driving my car on my way home. This airplane flew over top of my car. It was real close. Something, glass, a loud noise happened, and the pole came through the dashboard right through the car. I stopped the car in the middle of the street. It didn't stop straight, it stopped at an angle. As far as the plane went through, it didn't come back in until I stopped the car and got out. Then I looked for the plane. There was no plane, but it was quiet. If had nobody seemed to have indicated where something happened, I wouldn't have known. And I was there. I mean, I'm there, and The plane, the wing spread would have been from that house, maybe halfway in my house. And the big wing, the big motors underneath of them. And nothing was left out?
Those that think a 757 did not hit are fueled by the damage to the building and lack of large structural debris outside, particularly the lack of damage from the wings and vertical stabilizer, and the fact that those objects, as well as the engines, were never fully recovered.
Is there anything left of the aircraft at all?
First of all, the question about the aircraft, there are some small pieces of aircraft visible from the interior during this firefighting operation I'm talking about, but not large sections. In other words, there's no fuselage sections and that sort of thing.
They said it was a plane, and I didn't see any pieces of any plane, and I couldn't believe that a plane hit the building.
There are numerous parts to a 757 that are virtually indestructible. To date, we have not seen a single piece positively identified as Flight 77's. The fact that an exit hole inside the Pentagon is not explained by any official report on the attack. The fact that there was no impact damage on the lawn. And the fact that out of the videos that have been released, none of them clearly show a 757. The outer wall will collapse 20 minutes later, leaving a hole approximately 70 feet wide.
Oh God.
What hit the building may be important. However, our focus should be on why it was hit in the first place. The section hit was the headquarters of Naval Operations, Naval Intelligence, and the Navy Command Center. Army personnel were also killed. A number of accountants and budget analysts were also present at the time and killed in the attack. The Arlington County After Action Report states that important budget information was in the damaged area. It's interesting that 24 hours prior, Donald Rumsfeld publicly made this announcement.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
According to the 9/11 Commission report, the military was unprepared for the transformation of commercial aircraft into weapons of mass destruction.
Counterterrorism forecaster Marvin Citron authored a report in 1994 for the Department of Defense, warning of Washington's vulnerability to terrorist attack.
We predicted a plane could have crashed into the Pentagon. That's about as specific as you can be. If you made a right turn at the Washington Monument, you could hit the Pentagon. A left turn, you could hit the White House.
Back on October 24th, 2000, the Pentagon conducted MASCAL, a mass casualty exercise which simulated the impact of a Boeing 757 into the building.
I'm very curious, and as time goes by, it makes you more curious as you have time to dwell on the details and all the information that's becoming available. I can't drive my car that well, but I can't imagine somebody just climbing behind the wheel of an airplane and doing what they did and doing it so well. Basically, it was the strangest day I've ever spent in my entire life. It was like in slow motion. I get chills every time I hear the audio. Physically, I swear I get chills every time I watch the video. I can feel the heat, I can smell the fuel, or I can smell the burning. There's been a lot of curiosity, I think, in time, and even for me who was there. I still have questions of, did I really see what I think I saw? You know, when you're led to believe and you think you believe what you think you saw, I think that you begin to buy into it. But the more you dwell on it and the more the evidence comes forward, the questions get larger and larger and larger. I'd like some conclusion. I mean, I'm sure the families would, and I'm sure the military knows a lot more than we do in the government. But I'm just astounded that they don't share more of the information that's available.
If the government was 100% forthcoming and wanted to squelch any doubt as to what happened, why have they controlled the evidence so strongly? Why is there no positive identification of Flight 77? Why, when Vice President Dick Cheney was aware of an incoming aircraft up to 50 miles away, were employees allowed to remain in the building? Had a single alarm gone off inside the Pentagon, 125 people would be alive today, and hundreds more would not be suffering.
And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, "Do the orders still stand?" And the vice president turned and whipped his neck around and said, "Of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?"
Norman Minetta's testimony would be completely unreported by the 9/11 Commission. It would also be censored from the online archives of commission hearings. A spokesperson from the National Archive claimed that it was a technical snafu. The 9/11 Commission will later conclude that Vice President Dick Cheney did not reach the bunker until 9:58.
My main concern is that in your testimony, you stated that Vice President Dick Cheney came into the POEC office at 9:20 when you arrived, and he was already there. He's gone in front of Meet the Press, and he said that he was there at 9:38.
They did that because they'd received a report that an airplane was headed for the White House.
This is Flight 77, which had left Dulles.
Flight 77. It left Dulles. As best we can tell, they came initially at the White House.
The plane actually circled the White House?
Didn't circle it, but was headed on a track into it.
Tracking it by radar.
And when it entered the danger zone and looked like it was headed for the White House was when they grabbed me and evacuated me to the basement. The plane obviously didn't hit the White House, turned away and we think flew a circle and came back in and then hit the Pentagon.
Yeah, the 9/11 Commission report puts him there at 9:58 that morning. 9:58? Yeah, I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but it puts him half an hour later. So I don't mean to ask a rhetorical question, but to the best of your recollection, was Vice President Dick Cheney already here at 9:20?
The flight you're referring to is the
flight that came into the Pentagon.
This was before Flight 77.
Before American Airlines went into the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Norm Mineta was in the bunker with Cheney, and so the fact that that wasn't in the 9/11 Commission report was rather odd, don't you think? Yeah. Who was that young man? Did anybody ask who that young man was?
How could Dick Cheney, or anyone in the administration, especially after an aide warned him a plane was 50 miles out and 2 planes had already struck the World Trade Center, allow the Pentagon to be struck?
You know, am I prepared to believe that Dick Cheney would be capable of knowing about this kind of attack on the Pentagon, for example, and allowing it to happen? Well, from what I know about Dick Cheney, yeah.
So we're going to pause there until later. And I'm going to say this much. That's why Dick Cheney casket had a wrinkled flag, because he was symbolized as a traitor. But I want to stop and let y'all know something. Tomorrow at 10:30, if y'all have somebody in Atlanta that can't make bail, y'all see it is the official letter. The Jack Brewer Foundation, the 11th of September, 2023. Free the Fathers. Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023, Atlanta, Georgia. The purpose of this initiative is to save lives and return fathers to their children. Background. In the past 6 weeks, I'm going to do it so y'all can see it. In the past 6 weeks, 6 inmates have died in Fulton County Jail. The U.S. Department of Justice announced in July that it launched a civil investigation into Fulton County jail system following a series of reports of inmates' abuse and neglect. Harrison Floyd, who is the only co-defendant in the Fulton County RICO case to spend time in jail, is contributing all the proceeds made to his defense fund over the weekend of 9/8/23 to 9/11/2023 to pay bonds for those who can't afford it. On Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023, Harrison Floyd, Jack Brewer, and other prominent Black Republicans will travel to Fulton County Jail to provide financial assistance for those who can't afford a bond. A second chance bail bonds will be the agent of record. Requirements for assistance: individuals who are incarcerated for a nonviolent crime, have no history of addiction, and priority will go to those with children. we ask for everyone to dress professionally and keep orderly conduct. Press. Please direct press inquiries to who? Dana J at 404-914-7986. Or email me at OfficialDanaJay@proton.me. A second chance bail bonds. Melinda Lackey, 404-937-6457. Email her at melinda.l at michaelmckenzie.com. Location, 901 Rice Street, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. Support. Contribute to Give, Send, Go Defense Fund. https://www.givesendgo.com/official_Harrison_fund. If you have already contributed, ask 10 people to donate $1. Repost and share content across your social media platforms. Okay? And I got links. I got the link right there. So it's the official joint. Mr. Jack Brewer put it out. Y'all see who to contact. Like I say, what you do is when God allow you to go in arenas and serve in arenas when people seen your work and they seen who you are, you don't got to jump out there and try to throw yourself out there to do things. No, because people know your work. They see your work. I'm just saying. So if you don't have them do tomorrow, or if you at lunch and you want to come over and support, come over and support. You know what I mean? Because it could be your uncle, it could be your brother, it could be your son, it could be your nephew. And you might just don't have the bail money. We getting them out tomorrow. We getting them out. Now, hold tight, because I know y'all getting tired and everything. Hold tight. Got a message from our president. Go a little something like this. If y'all think Trump ain't the one, check this out.
Message from Donald J. Trump.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Now, I made fifth.
Now, I gave y'all the first part of the movie. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to give you the second part of the movie. If you want to come out, come on out. Later on tonight, about 7:30, about an hour and a half, I'm going live about R. Kelly. Time to shut all the haters down once and for all. I'm going to go live about R. Kelly. I'm going to say some things. I'm going to put some things out there. And it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm still howling hashtag free R. Kelly. I'm glad that people are showing their hands, because now people know who's for Robert and who's not. It's up to you to continue dealing with those folks. If y'all still giving them people platforms to talk on, if y'all still going to visit them platforms, y'all just as guilty as those people. I'm just saying. If you're here for Robert, be here for Robert. Don't be here for a blogger. If you just like the blogger, okay, you rock with the blogger. But when it comes to Robert, you should never waver your loyalty for Robert for a blogger. Okay? Just giving y'all points of advice. I see y'all in about an hour and a half when we talk about that boy. What's that boy name? Robert Sylvester Kelly. Peace. Love everybody. I'm out.
When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. When the chips...
Mr. Trump is an anomaly. He's someone that doesn't fit the norm. You expected a man to be like the other presidents. You wanted him to be more presidential. He's so transparent. You wanted him to put on a suit and act dignified, like the thieves and robbers that dress in suits and tell lies. You wanted him to be like that. He's telling lies, all right. And you're angry because he's your reflection. He's an anomaly. You can't make him what you desire him to be so that you can say, oh, that's my president. He wasn't made that way. God has him here. What did you say, Farrakhan? Do you think that God is not interested in who is president of the United States of America? Especially when it's out of the time of evil? It's in our time now.
Friendly reminder, I want you to stop worrying about who like your pictures, baby. They see you. They watching. You got your foot on their neck, baby. Big motion. And guess what? They gonna screenshot this and talk about you in the group chat. So you might as well go off. Ain't no tippy-toeing. Ain't no playing it small. Ain't no playing it safe, baby. You big pressure. Stand on that.
What about me would make you think that I care about your opinion of me? Your opinion of me is not the opinion that I have of myself. You ain't make me, so you can't break me. You didn't build me, so you can't kill me. You know what? God established me. So you ain't nothing you can do to me. I've been him. I've been a difference maker, a game changer. I've been that guy. So what would change? Not a darn thing. I'm not even playing the game, and you got an opinion of me. I love it, but I don't care. And I wish the world thought like that. Youngsters, if you're out there right now, do not give a darn what opinion people have of you. Long as that opinion is not consistent of that of yourself. You be you. I'm not paying to make you feel good about me. I already feel good about me. I'm good. Message for the youngsters out there. And the old school, not old fools. Look at me.
Whatever you want, whoa, whatever you need, my heart belongs to you. Oh, whatever you need, there's nothing I won't do. Oh, whatever you want, oh, my heart belongs to you. Oh, I say whatever you need, whatever you need, my heart belongs to you. Whatever you need, there's nothing I won't do. Whatever you want, my heart belongs to you. I say whatever you need.